Coordinates locked. Helldivers to Hellpods. Repeat. Helldivers to Hellpods. Hellpods primed.
Hello and welcome. So for Shots Fired this year, we got a team of 4 bringing you Helldivers 2 Liberation Percent. We've got Ares 540 coincidentally talking to you now through the power of time travel and editing. I'm joined by Siphon and Minstrel Twinkletoes. And our runners are myself, the Schloys, Wolf Niner, and Faded Corsair. And time is starting right now as we get into our Hellpods. We've got the mission briefing screen, and then the players will be going through their loadouts, picking equipment for the mission ahead. We'll be doing an entire operation, which is a set of 3 missions. And the time will stop once we see our final mission time. Besides that, Siphon and Minstrel, you guys want to introduce yourselves?
Hello, my name is Siphon, and I will be helping with the co-commentary invited on by your boy Ares himself.
This is Minstrel. I was also invited to commentate here, so looking forward to it.
Minstrel, I must ask before the divers begin going through the stratosphere at Mach 9, why is your name so funny? This is very important to the run. You have to answer this. Runners will not be able to complete Liberation Percent without this. Democracy cannot continue. Why is your name funny?
I think it was chosen as a what is the least common username on any platform, so any game, probably that. And I've had some pretty good luck not having username taken.
I think you've captured it, and our Helldivers have now launched. Now, what is important to note is for about a minute and 40 seconds before they've decided to click launch, they were selecting their loadouts very carefully. They had to deal with armor, grenades, weapons, and most importantly, the stratagems, as they plan how they're going to tackle this new map, as this is a blind run.
Yeah, so what Siphon means by a blind run is that for single mission speedruns for Helldivers 2, you're allowed to load into the game and then Alt F4. So you load into the mission and you can scout everything about the map. Going in blind means we didn't look at where the secondary objectives are. We're going to have to find 4 out of 5 secondary objectives once we're in the mission. And I'll try and point that out when it's happening. You'll see divers looking at their map screen, because once you get into the game, the map screen actually has some distinct features. It's like a really primitive GeoGuessr where you're looking at the different rock formations or building formations and figuring out where your secondary objectives are on the map. We are going to be doing 100% rules, so that means we have to complete our main objective, all secondary objectives, and we have to close all of the bug holes. Not only that, we have to get to the extraction point, and all 4 divers have to extract successfully, which isn't usually very difficult, but it is the most volatile point in the run, because if a diver dies at the very last second and everyone else is on the Pelican, that will kill the entire run.
I must ask you, Ares, how much has a random stray Bile Titan perusing around the neighborhood ended your runs via this means?
Casually, often. Since we started training for this run a month and a half ago, not very often, but more often than I would like to admit. I think we're sitting at around 91 or 92% full player.
Yes. Now, as we see here, our runners have gotten started. If we look on the top left and direct our attention to Ares, he is currently getting chased by the Horde. They did not like his presence. He didn't tell a good enough joke, and now they're mad and they want their money back. Meanwhile, the rest of the gang did not show up to the comedy club, but they are still going to have to go scout out the rest of the areas and find all of the points of interest so that democracy can continue.
Ah, classic.
And as we
Classic
see,
death
Ares
parties.
pulls the ultimate gamer move. This is very integral to the strategy. This allows him to respawn at a different point, ignoring his mech, which is now used as a funny diversion. I'm just kidding. He accidentally killed himself with his own mech.
I'm
Democracy
going to
will still
maintain
continue.
that that's just a requirement for me in any marathon run. I actually did that last week in GDQ. Well, not with the mech. There was a 500k bomb that hit a tree and was about 30 meters away from where it was supposed to land, and I died right at the start of the mission. Despite that, though, you don't lose too much time as long as you're able to get your stuff back, and you know. Well, I should say some deaths don't cost you too much. Others can cost you multiple minutes. That wasn't too costly, but there may be deaths later that cost us minutes.
Ares, it seems like every day you were finding new ways to die to mechs, whether it be your friend stomping you, you getting hit by yourself,
yeah,
or
that's
maybe
true.
a hunter commandeering the ship for a little bit.
Minstrel can attest that I am very good at finding strange ways to die in this game.
Yeah, Ares died, I think, 12 times once to meteors on Fenrir 3.
On the same map, in the same mission.
Yeah, on the same map, in the same mission. Like, it was, he would come in, get...
So right
slaughtered.
now, I will point out that on my screen I'm scouting out the map and marking various locations, and then calling out for other... You can only put down one marker at a time, so I often call for another teammate to mark a spot that they will end up being headed to.
Yes, and this is very important because, as you mentioned before, you can play a little trivial game of GeoGuessr to try and pre-spot locations. Some side objectives are very noticeable on the map, such as the Sief Artillery, which is a nice little concrete circle on the map. Or, even more importantly, if you have a keen eye, you can spot out the proper rock formations for a stalker
Right now
lair
I'm trying to
prevent your
identify a
early
radar
deaths.
tower. Yes, certain rock formations, especially for stalkers, those stand out. So right now we're trying to find out where a radar tower is because we are having trouble finding objectives on the map. And you're right, Sief stands out, it sticks out like a sore thumb. That's one of the easy ones to learn. By the way, if anyone ever wants to look up a guide, the Blitzdivers Discord has a bunch of really great guides that they're happy to share with people.
Yes, and as we continue forward, it appears that we've gotten some bug holes cleared, and a lot of different objectives are starting to be spotted. Now, I must ask Ares, is there a world where you reckon the category would involve collecting samples for 100%? Or any category?
In my opinion, I think that it's that would kind of be a waste of time, just because the samples like spawn in the same places, but it's like they have the same potential places they can spawn, but it's random as to which ones they actually spawn in. Trying to collect all the samples is difficult, and then sometimes the sample count isn't even correct. So I doubt it. We're skipping all of the resources for this run since everyone has everything unlocked anyways.
That is true. To be a speedrunner is usually a pretty costly task. Now, you can always enter at the lowest levels of even 20 like I did. You might struggle a little bit. I'd recommend some multiplayer categories. But there is always a place for democracy to be committed at record speeds, alright? Anyone can start, and it all starts by joining the Discord. Many people to help. Me and Ares also there all the time. Now, I'm noticing a lot of bug holes getting cleared. It looks like progress is pretty steady. Ares,
Progress
what
is
is
pretty
our current
steady.
status?
For sure. What, Minstrel, do you want to explain the retrieve data mission type? Because I can see Schlois is pretty close to completing his objective.
Yeah, a couple of... So, retrieve data mission types, and one of the things I think kind of runs constantly in your head as a team or as a runner is time management. And retrieve data is one of those types of missions that have a lot of terminals. You have a lot of built-in waiting periods. that really forced the team to kind of spread out and utilize, like, double up on time while someone's waiting on the terminal, someone else is closing bug holes. I remember when we were training and trying to really just figure out builds and loadouts that we wanted to take and that were feasible. The constant thing was, okay, cooldown. How long is this cooldown? Like, what can this actually do? How can I maximize the uses out of it? So, like, for here, you can see the Schloiz is sitting on objective, kind of just waiting, whereas you have Wolf Niner down there running toward different objective, you know. So I think that's one of the things that really helps a good team is if we're maximizing time spent doing multiple things at once.
Yeah, so for example, right now
time.
you can see top left, I am just waiting at this point. It's because I'm waiting at extraction. Extraction takes 2 minutes to call in, and I determined that I couldn't really do another objective. One of the biggest bottlenecks to speed is getting that extraction called in as soon as possible, which I'll be doing in just a second here. I'd also like to point out for some objectives, like at the start, we had myself and Faded Corsair on doing the power generator, which is one of the first steps to the main objective, and we were both there because there tends to be more frequently bug breaches there. Bug breaches where the bugs send up a signal flare, and then a bunch of new bugs start burrowing up out of the ground, and they can overwhelm you pretty easily if you're not careful. So that's something that, if possible, it's nice to have 2 people to take care of, but it has to be like a good enough time save.
Yes, this is very true. Now, there's also a lot of strategy that goes involved. Whether you're doing a blind run or not, there's always a bunch of strategy. For example, if you're not doing a blind run, you can even plan out what Sief artillery shells to put in that can maybe be helpful in future runs. But if you're doing a blind run, it's all about maximizing time with the minimal information you're given. So what you do, you gotta look at the map and quickly on the fly determine paths for all of your pals. And the ultimate goal, before anything, is to get the main objective done and call extraction, because that is your true time cap, the gate that stops you from completing the mission, on top of anything else. Everything else should be completed by then anyway. If you guys have a good enough team who are skilled in cooperating, you can easily get all of your bug holes and your secondaries done within the time it takes for main objective and extraction to get done. So that is always the focus on any run, blind or not.
So I love what the Schloiz is doing right here. So he has some bug nests that he has to clear, but there's also a bunch of stuff in there. He had just thrown in a 500 kg, and now he's kind of skirting around the outside, not really allowing anything to get close to him. And that is a lot of the game. Unlike trying to play this regularly, you kind of want to try and do the minimal amount of effort and like be very accurate with where you call in orbitals and take your grenade shots in order to close any bug holes or objectives without having to commit yourself and possibly get weighed down.
So you would say minimal effort for maximum effort, almost?
Yeah, exactly.
At any possible turn, you would always want to avoid fighting the bugs and rather ignore them, because any time you're spent shooting is not time spent doing objectives, and that's always important.
200 meters.
So right now we have a little bit of time inefficiency. We have one bug hole left, but the shuttle, Pelican 1, is waiting to go. So right now we're trying to figure out who needs to go over there and close that last set of bug holes. And to go off of what Minstrel was saying, so what you're seeing here isn't necessarily typical for Helldivers gameplay. We got our start as a team, and Minstrel normally is a part of the speedrunning, but because of the shots fired scheduling, wasn't able to make it. And Faded Corsair is one of the alternate players who trains with us a bunch, and he was able to step in, thankfully. But the way that we started training was really as a tight-knit squad trying to play through higher and higher difficulties together. Helldivers 2 is a multiplayer-focused game, but allows you to spread out as much as you want to try and complete objectives. So as we were training for this and going along, we started off by breaking up into pairs, and then gradually we were able to tackle more and more objectives on our own. And what's funny is that the faster you go, the easier it gets, because it kind of confuses the patrols of enemies that are wandering through the map, and you put more distance in between yourself and bug breaches. So what you see here is, it's not really typical of a normal super hell dive, just because the enemies are getting stretched thin.
And that will be the completion of the first mission. Duly noted, at the very end there, you may have seen Wolf Niner commit Omega die at the end, and that is because he was so far from extraction, it was actually faster for him to simply die and be respawned. A strategy often used if you're not playing in the deathless category, of course.
Yep.
And as we can see there, everything on the map has been cleared. And to go off what Ares was saying, it really is all about the speed here. So you gotta keep yourself locked in. You gotta keep moving. Ignore the bugs, and the faster you go, the easier it gets, because the faster you go, the less time you're spending dealing with bugs, bug breaches, or anything like that. The longer you're somewhere, the more you have to deal with them, and the more there will be. So you always got to keep on going.
Mm-hmm.
That's not to say that playing fast is the right way to play the game, so to speak. This was, this really is the culmination of a number of months of not just training for, to put together something that is fun to watch for a marathon, but it's all the other, like, just playing together as a tight group that we did. So yeah, going fast isn't like the best or right way to play the game. Usually we like we welcome the bug breaches, and we'll sit there and try and fight our way through it.
Yes. There's, of course, many different ways to play the game, but when you decide to go the speedrun route, life just doesn't have time for these guys. They all have customer support issues. They want to complain that my life keeps existing and I keep breathing. I don't have time for it. We're going into the next mission. They're going to quickly select their landing point after a brief overview of the map. And once we've selected our spot, they're going to once again determine their new loadouts, what armor they may want to use, whether they even want to change it, and most importantly, of course, the stratagems they'll be bringing into this as a team.
When you're doing missions like this and trying to go fast, oftentimes you do end up dropping fairly in the middle of the map, but there's a brief discussion. I will say that the maps are randomized, by the way. This is the objectives can be located anywhere. We never know if we're going to have big old cliffs, big lakes in the way, other sorts of features. So the map seed that we picked today is on Akamar 4, which is a really tame planet during the day, which was excellent. At night, it gets like really foggy and dark on this planet, and it's not great, but we got a daytime mission. And we got retrieve data, blitz, and eggs, which are some of our favorites. So we lucked out on the map seeds for this run for sure. We definitely were not as lucky like the week prior when we did GDQ, where we had to pick between either a planet that had fire tornadoes or the jungle planet with a mission type we didn't like, and so we had to make the call between one or the other. And so we had a rough time on one of the jungle planet missions.
It appears you guys have landed right on top of a sports viewer. Low visibility in this area.
Yeah, it's foggy because of this tower you can see in the bottom left that Wolf Niner's looking at.
Just drop a couple of nukes on it, it'll go away.
I think that was a 500k that somehow failed to kill it. I don't know how.
500ks are crazy like that.
Yeah. Someone should be eliminating it pretty quickly, though. This is a blitz mission, and so we do have to do 4 secondary objectives, but other than that, all we're doing is clearing bug holes.
I think like a blitz mission is one of the simplest and easiest in concept missions you could ask for. When you combine that with a planet that has very little kind of fluctuations or effects, atmospheric effects, you can really get a nice time on these. One of the big problems, like Ares was saying, was sometimes the planets just don't want to cooperate. They want to give you like a hard time, and it's gonna be a hard time trying to complete missions.
Ares, I'm noticing that you guys earlier cleared a stalker layer rather quickly, and Janice just fought another one. Just to make sure, we're definitely not dealing with 2 stalker layers, right?
I think we only ever had 1 stalker layer on a map.
Okay.
So the stalkers are the... you should be able to see one... let's see if... Floyd may or may not look at it again. He just killed one. It's a... They've got the white colorations with the little red wings. The stalkers can turn almost completely invisible and can smell you from a long ways away, so they will come and hunt you. Whenever we see them on the map, in team chat, there is an immediate call out. Whoever sees one calls it out, and it is one of the highest priorities in the game is to get rid of these nests, because they will continuously spawn stalkers that will chase you and chase you and chase you. They're very, very deadly. So taking out their nests, just making that a priority is the best thing you can do.
Yes, these guys are a very special type of enemy. Nothing like it. It's almost like a hunter decided to go into genetic mutation and take steroids. They are always a top priority whether you're playing casual or speedrunning, but especially while speedrunning, because they are run ruiners. They are in fact the only enemy in this game you cannot in fact outrun. So they will always catch up to you. They have high amounts of damage output and will basically turn you into their funny pet. You'll become a nice little Gmod ragdoll, but we're playing Helldivers, so that's, never a good sign when you start switching game physics. So this enemy is very powerful, and you always want to find them as soon as possible.
It's a bit of a rite of passage for a player to come across like 3 stalkers at once.
You
And
almost
somehow get out alive.
just consider yourself God at that point. You might as well just be the rail cannon himself.
Yeah.
I think you are just him.
Yeah. You were just...
You radiate
You
funk
made it.
wherever you go. Dude, the bugs will be absolutely pooping themselves when they hear funk radiating off your aura as you walk forward toward them with literally a fist in hand.
So it looks like we have extraction called in as the last objectives are being mopped up. You can see on Schloids' map in the top right, there's 2 bug hole areas that are left. So it looks like Faded Corsair must be on extraction. I have to mention, by the way, in the previous mission, towards the end of the mission, Faded Corsair's tag dropped out. That's because he actually crashed to blue screen. He got the blue screen of death and had to reboot the game, but thankfully the online servers were being fantastic and we didn't have any other problems for the rest of the run. We got him back in real quick.
That's what happens when you liberate all the stratagem jammers. They no longer can jam your router.
Yeah.
Yes, as we can see here, we've got some more suicides as the ship is about to land and the final few bug holes are going to be closing up. So everyone's got to regroup and hop on the Pelican 1. Make sure to say thanks to the ship flyer. This is not a reference to Fortnite. I don't know that game. But I'm just saying that guy is a top G. He shows up every single time, no matter how many Bile Titans or tanks are on you, and says, "Aight, Chief, you will be getting out. I will make sure of it." Shout out to Pelican 1 driver in the chat. This man's a true one.
Yeah.
That was one of the things we actually practiced, was messing with the physics in a way where if you hit Pelican 1 with a Hell Pod, it would flip off the landing and land somewhere else. And our thought process for that was, well, if the extraction pad's too hot and we can't just run in there, like, can we, displace the Pelican somewhere else? So we tried it a couple of times. We never really had to do it, but I think so far it's still possible.
Imagine the face on the Pelican 1 pilot when he says it's going, when he hears it's going to be okay, and then his ship gets absolutely sent in a car wreck, 360 flipping miles.
We have a final time of 550.
Oh, fast.
That is pretty fast. Now, this was the Search and Destroy, correct?
Yes, Blitz, Search, and Destroy.
Yeah.
This, in fact, would actually beat your old record if you were to submit this. This would be new second place. So very impressive job, Aries. Your team
a new
is
PB for the team.
Your team is on great
Thank you.
track. I can't wait to verify this later when you eventually submit it, I think. In fact, I don't even have to watch it. I already watched it. I can just click verify instantly. It'll be funny.
That's true.
Zom, I hope you don't watch this. I swear I watch all the runs I verify. Don't kill me.
I believe it was, let's see here, and time of 550, so that's 6 seconds off the current world record as well, held by Vader and Company.
That is true. That is true. Looking at this, that was only submitted 14 days ago, so this is a very hot category for Blitz Search and Destroy 100% on Super Helldive. Very hot category. Most of the runs have been submitted within the past 2 weeks. So if you want to
there's
get your
still tons
hand
of
in it,
improvements
try and
to be
beat these
made.
guys.
Yeah, anyone who wants to jump in and try their hand on it. There's so many categories and difficulties you could run. Like, if you want to try your hand and get on the leaderboard and improve your times, yeah, it's a great time to do it.
We got a little bit of everything for everyone.
Yeah, and it's such a new, like, I remember when we were doing the run a couple weeks ago, a lot of people just didn't even know Helldivers could be a speed run, like, and we're like, well, there's a clock, there's a timer, right? Like,
yeah, GDQ was surprised. They're like, wait, this game with random RNG can speedrun? Yeah, there's a clock, there's a time. It doesn't need to be a set single player game. It doesn't need to be any of that. All it needs is an objective and a timer, and you're good to go. And therefore, we have helped to develop a large speedrun community that only grows every day. Hopefully the leaderboards will someday see the triple digits in population for individual categories. Eventually, we'll get enough liberators on there.
Yeah, for sure. By the way, doing the math on playing the game this fast, it's better than I know there were a bunch of farming videos out. You know, like, oh, this is the way to play the game. This is how we actually get liberation, is farming trivials and stuff, which was sort of true at the time. But the reality is that you make several times the amount of XP by playing the game this way at higher difficulties. It's not for everyone. Play the game you want to play it, but I just think it's really cool that experienced Helldivers are making more of an impact on the Galactic War.
Take that, YouTuber. Speedrunners win again.
By the way, that's part of the reason that we wanted to put together this category is Liberation Percentage. Basically playing the game really fast, because we wanted to keep contributing to the Galactic War as we practiced this run, as we got the experience to do this.
Yeah, so Aries and his friends have helped spark a little movement going on. At this current moment, his coined term Liberation Percent is currently in the works of being created category. A few kinks like the rules that are currently being voted on, but once that is all said and done, we will have a whole brand new category thanks to Aries and his friends that will hopefully serve to be a nice little competition between several Helldivers who wish to run this and contribute to the Galactic War. Anything for Super Earth, really.
Yeah. So the time that you're going to see right now, it's including the load times and the menuing that we have to do in between the missions. The future category probably won't contain that, so the time will look shorter. But for the sake of the marathon, we figured we would just time the entire thing which keeps us on our toes for jumping from mission to mission.
Yes, the options for times that were being discussed for being implemented was, as it is now, just...
I'd like to draw everyone's attention to the Troys real quick. You can see the little orange eggs that he's busy destroying.
Yes.
So he just finished with one of the egg nests, which is the main mission objective. It's one of the easier objectives. You can, especially with a mech, you can stomp in, blow up all the eggs, and then
Aries, we all know what happens. We all know what happens when we put you with a mech. Calm down.
You know, man, marathons are a first time for everything. I don't think I've ever managed to do that before, and it's for posterity. It's just, I figured this is a learning experience. I wanna show people what not to do when you call in your mech.
Yep. Look at Ares as a beacon of light for speed and inefficiency. His methods may be unusual, but by God, is he a good Helldiver. Can't question results. No one gets in between me and my boy.
How's it go in the song? You haven't really lived till you've died for Super Earth.
Dude, so real. You haven't really lived until you've killed yourself with a mech for Super Earth. I think, you know what, I can't even say you killed yourself. I think Pelican 1 was just trolling after what you did to his ship with a Hellpod.
Yeah, it's pretty rare, but yeah, Pelican 1 can certainly troll.
Pelican 1 has a sense of humor too, guys. He's not just faceless ship, he is another Helldiver who's trying to get your boys out and drop your supplies in. Speaking of which, should we shout out the pilot for the Eagle jet? I mean, think about the amount of 500s that people wouldn't get delivered thanks to them.
Eagle 1? Oh yeah, Eagle 1's the best.
Eagle 1, Pelican 1. I'm so glad they haven't died yet. Long live the ones.
Yep.
Yeah, if I were to put a number next to my name for my lives, like this is a Destiny 2 exosuit, I would have to be Siphon 144. So, it's not looking great. Now, Extraction has just been called in, which means that the run's going to be coming to a close pretty soon. I think this will actually be done even faster than your GDQ run, which also was done significantly faster than its estimation time of 55 minutes. I do recall.
Yes,
so,
when the estimation time was made, there was still some improvements to be made, and the estimation time does have to be a bit long, just because if things go wrong, they can go very, very wrong in this game. And currently, we're seeing some mostly, I was about to say some really smooth playing as we see Wolf Niner get taken out by a Shrieker.
I knew what the birds are working for the enemies of Super Earth.
By the way, I did want to mention just a little bit about loadouts. What we found is that if you're looking to pick up speedrunning, honestly, whatever you're comfortable with and whatever works for you, there certainly are things that tend to be more useful than others for your stratagems and the weapons that you take in. You're going to see all of us using grenade pistols, so get that weapon unlocked and use it. Nothing else is as efficient as a grenade pistol for closing bug holes. It's also amazing on the bug side of things against bile spewers and shield bugs. So that's pretty much a requirement. We're all wearing light armor for the fast speed of various kinds. The trench paramedic light armor is really good, as well as the scout armor. Another thing that you'll see all of us use is the thermite grenades. Thermite just had a huge buff a week and a half before this run, and so we're all running thermite as a way to not only close bug holes, but to stick. It's got spikes on it, so you stick it to the big elephant, sort of rhino-looking bugs called chargers. You stick it to them, and after a time period, they explode. Other than that, there's a lot of different things you can take for backpacks. A lot of different, things you can take like rockets. I always prefer the commando, but other people prefer things like heavy machine guns or Explosive crossbow and erupt are also pretty good for closing bug holes if you wanna get something that's got a good multi-purpose to it.
Yeah, Ares is right. Now that I think about it, the #1 weapon of speedrunning history so far that isn't a stratagem would be the grenade pistol. Even if you're fighting the bots, this thing can destroy fabricators if you need them. This thing can destroy the scouts if you need them. The grenade pistol might just be the #1 weapon to unlock of all time. Everything else just cannot compare to its versatility. And
So,
even the thermites...
Right here, we're coming up on the end of the mission. I just want to point this out. Fated Corsair is at a Sief Artillery right now, finishing it up. That's one of the longer objectives to do. You have to load in a bunch of shells. I believe someone earlier was, I think the Schloiz was working on part of it, but I think he might have gotten pushed off the objective. Currently the Schloiz, you can see on his backpack, there's a little wriggling worm larva. It's one of the secondary objectives that has bugs come to you to try and steal their baby larva back. So the three of us are just waiting on objective for him to finish up. And we are almost to the end of our run. Time's going to stop once we see the mission timer on the score screen.
Yep. He's gonna ninja dust here.
Yep.
Just gotta...
There's the reinforcement call in. Reinforcements are called in, by any one of the other Helldivers who are alive.
Wherever it's most useful. And now that everyone's gonna pile on the ship, I see green over there is a little slow. That wouldn't be you, Ares, would it?
No, that was Fated Corsair. He just popped out of the Hell Pod as he got reinforced.
So true. And that, in a couple seconds, is going to conclude Liberation % performed by Ares and Crew TM, trademark restricted, copyright. You're not stealing it or the IRS will get you.
And that's our time with 36:03 and a mission time of 8:20.
Ooh, 8:20. And this is the Purge Hatcheries, if I recall.
Yes, it is.
This would actually put you at a new world record if you were to submit this.
It does indeed.
And that means that Ares and crew have put on quite a performance for you guys. He not only got a second place and a first place individual mission run, but he also set a very nice Liberation % run with load times even. With load times, this is still a very competitive time. Not many can achieve this amount of greatness. So Ares, I congratulate you on your run and thank you for performing for the shots fired.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you. And I'd say thanks to the Blitz divers who help out. The other speedrunners on the in the Helldivers 2 speedrunning Discord, and everyone who practices with us. That'd be Kiji Katamari, Cool Platypus, Fated Corsair, Lord Toxiferous. I can't forget anyone here. Is that everyone, Minstrel?
Let me confirm.
And of course, democratic hugs of friendship and brotherhood all around after the mission is over. It's pretty much required after. Yes, JD Eggy, who commentated for us last week and would have been here today, except for again, last minute scheduling stuff. But he commentates and trains with us.
Yeah. And with that, that is a wrapped up Helldivers 2 speedrun for you guys.
Yep. We love this game, and we want to see you guys out there diving for democracy and Super Earth. We'll see you Starside.
Yep, make sure to join the Discord if you want to run, and that will be your crew and the Helldivers themselves signing off for y'all.
Yep. Shots fired. We will see you later. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.